Today, I'm going to be hardcore Nuzlocking Pokemon Scarlet with only Grass-type Pokemon. The Grass type, while being one of the 3 types you can start off the game with, is normally pretty good. But here, it is one of the most difficult types to beat the Paldea region with, and I'm going to show you why. I'm ChaoticMeatball. Rules for the challenge are in the description, but a quick refresher. Number 1, no items in battle except held items and Pokeballs when capturing a new encounter. Number 2, no terastallizing. And lastly, we gotta have some fun. Make sure to subscribe to the channel as we're on the drive to 200,000 subscribers, like the video since it helps a lot, and comment down below what other challenges you'd like to see in the future. With all that said, let's go touch some grass. The beginning of Scarlet and Violet tend to be rather dull when it comes to the actual challenge, but we do have a few encounters to go and grab during this introductory time. Firstly, we've got our starter in Sprigatito right here in Cabo Poco, battling Nemona for the first time and taking her Quaxly down with back-to-back leafages to get the win. One of the most important things aside from encounters though is grabbing every available item that we can get our grimy little hands on, since we need to sell them to get the power items for EV boosting over in Mesagoza. During our trek though, we're able to find Hoppip on the Poco Path, battling Arven after our accidental detour with Koraidon, and downing his Skwovet with 3 leafages. Beginning battles after all, makes sense that they're this easy. Our other encounter around here is Sunkern in Area 1 of the South Province. While this is a little bit of an underwhelming start, as both Hoppip and Sunkern are notorious Gen 2 Pokemon without much to offer, I think that you'll be in for a surprise once we EV train them and get them some TMs. Before we head into Mesagoza though, we're clear for another battle against Nemona, this time rocking a second Pokemon but still leading Quaxly as I choose Sprigatito, doing the same thing as the previous battle and taking her out with 2 leafages. All that's left is Pawmi, and Bite does the trick after she terastallizes, KOing after 3 turns, but she does manage to do a number on Sprigatito during this time. All good though, as now we can enter Mesagoza, get those power items for attack, special attack, and speed, and get moving. Sprigatito is going to be EV trained in special attack and speed, which may seem weird at first, since physical attack is the higher stat and all, when you look at Meowscarada, of course. But Meowscarada also gets access to Nasty Plot by TM, not to mention some great special moves like Energy Ball, Dark Pulse, Shadow Ball, Aura Sphere, and quite a few others. But I did not realize the problem with this until much later in the run, but you'll have to wait to find out. It was pretty stupid. Sunkern joins the crew with special attack and speed despite having a base 30 in Sunflora, surely because I want to outspeed anything I can, since that's a commodity in and of itself during this run. But the special attack is great for a Pokemon that already has a base 105 special attack. Stat modifiers like Growth backed by a strong special move selection like Swift, Mega Drain, Giga Drain, Energy Ball, Hyper Beam, and even a coverage move in Earth Power should help out immensely. Lastly, Hoppip will be EV trained in attack and speed. We will need this immensely once you remember the badge order that we have to go in to keep with the level cap. After whipping Team Star and sitting around in school for God knows how long, we're free to get our 3 quests and therefore 18 badges. First up, I thought I'd have to go through the Artizone Gym Challenge to get a Sunstone for Sunkern, but turns out they only give that to you after the gym battle, so we need to go to the Asado Desert to remedy this. Beforehand though, I grabbed Smoliv from Area 2 of the South Province, as well as Capsakid from Area 1 of the West Province. I gotta say, the area names are a bit boring, could have at least given the 4 provinces names, but hey, I'm glad this game is as good as it is. I don't really need to nitpick all that much when there was already so much wrong with the last 3 generations. I'm just glad something took the mantle from Gen 5. Complaints aside, we've got to dodge a ton of high-level Pokemon just to hunt for a hidden Sunstone, which is a little bit nerve-wracking, but hey, I've played so many 3D platformers in my time, I'm used to this jank. We end up finding it quickly, evolving Sunkern into Sunflora, and finishing up the team for the first few badges, but not quite our movesets. See, grass types are at a massive disadvantage against a ton of the first few badge types. The first is against Bug. The third is a mirror match against grass types, which happens to have a rock type that terastallizes into grass and therefore kinda outs Hoppip. The fourth is a flying type, 7th is fire, and so on. Grass just has a lot of weaknesses. So I've got to get the hardest hitting moves I can as early as possible, hence why we're traveling to the East Province this early to grab Acrobatics, and getting rather close to the second Titan in order to get a copy of Swords Dance for sweeping potential. For now, we've got Bullet Seed as Hoppip's physical grass attack of choice, backed with the 4th move being Protect, but we should have enough ammunition in the tank to get the first badge. Cortando is the home of the Bug Gym, as Katie's waiting with 3 Pokemon of her own. Thankfully, Hoppip's flying typing gives us a neutrality against Bug, so we can set up 3 Sword Stances, opting not to use Leftovers and alternate Protect due to Acrobatics being a 110 power move without a held item, doing so against her lead Nimble. This fella gets off 3 Struggle Bugs, but it is nowhere near enough to finish Hoppip off, as Nimble, Tarantula, and after terastallizing into the Bug type, Teddiursa all fall to a single Acrobatics apiece to end the battle in short order. 1 down, 17 to go. Next up is the Titan Cloth, who's a Rock type, so we should have the advantage, right? Well, not with Hoppip at all, so we need to go ahead and get some updated moves for Sunflora. I tried to go all the way to the northern side of the map to get the TM for Energy Ball, but turns out that TM is just barely inside of the Team Star base here, but I did manage to find another copy elsewhere, so that's not that big of a deal. I figured we'd also go ahead and grab the TM for Dark Pulse for later, going into the battle with Cloth straight after. A few growths alternating with Protects were plenty enough to keep Sunflora almost completely healthy, not dropping below 80% before a single Energy Ball does him in. I'm able to basically do the same against Phase 2 alongside Arven and his Shelder, but I decided to only do this for 2 turns as Shelder has Water Gun, getting Cloth close to half HP, and I figured we needed to ensure that Anger Shell didn't trigger so that we don't take any risks. So a +2 Energy Ball was fired off, finishing off the ambush Pokemon and giving us our second badge, Sprigatito evolving into Florgatito, and the dash for Koraidon all in one fell swoop. Third badge is back over in Artizone, and since we've already completed the Banjo-Kazooie, but instead of Jinjos, we're collecting Sunflora's minigame, we're clear to kick his Fanny to the fields. He leads Petalil, so I'm going with Hoppip and not bothering to set up Sword Stance, as his last Pokemon is Sudowoodo, and that thing's got sturdy and 100% will one-shot Hoppip with a Rock Throw. Instead, we're just using Acrobatics to KO both Petalil and Smoliv, then swapping out into Sunflora for Sudowoodo. We don't have much other than alternating Protect and Growth for a few turns, then blasting him with as many not very effective Mega Drains as I can muster so we can keep Sunflora alive, though it's nowhere near enough as we only get around half of Sudowoodo's HP drained before Sunflora would be KO'd. Thankfully, we do not decide to just let it go as I swap into Florgatito, using Bite to hope for a few flinches, and we do get a single flinch here as well as a miss with Rock Throw. This provides just enough wiggle room to eke out the win without a death, evolving Hoppip into Skiploom in the process. Now, in case you're wondering why we didn't use Capsakid here, just evolving it into Scovillain with a Firestone and getting access to Flamethrower, well, the same problem applies. Rock Throw would have destroyed me, and Sunflora and Florgatito were the 2 bulkiest Pokemon I have access to at this point that could manage to out Sudowoodo through War of Attrition alone, and thankfully it worked out. Probably should have given Protect to Florgatito though, regardless. Following the third badge, I figure we need to go after some new encounters, since that battle against Brassius was rough to say the least. Firstly, we've got a few from Terra Raid dens, namely Deerling from the Tag Tree Thicket, EV trained in attack and speed, Bounsweet from Area 3 of the East Province, EV trained in attack and speed, Applin in Area 3 of the South Province, again being EV trained in attack and speed. See why I wanted to make Florgatito a special attacker? Speaking of which, Toad School in Area 2 of the East Province, which is going to be a special attacker, as is Petalil from Casseroya Lake. We're able to evolve it straight after into Lilligant as well, because we had another Sunstone laying around. Alright, that should be plenty, since, dear lord, we are going to need a good few of these friends to die for the cause, as Bombardier, the second Titan and the subject of our 4th badge, is a nightmare to get through otherwise. I'm leading Lilligant with a TM for Charm put into the moveset, since this is probably the only way I'm gonna survive. We get 1 off, lowering the attack by 2 stages as he goes for Rock Throw. Well, that's much appreciated, at least it wasn't one of the flying type attacks. We can alternate with Protect, then go for it again to get to -4, then do the same for -6, taking Plucks along the way, but for some added security on the swap out, I make sure to paralyze him with Stun Spore, then hit a Teeter Dance for the confusion as well. This should be plenty enough, though Lilligant's rather worse for wear at this point. From here, I can swap into Deerling, go for a Substitute to prevent being destroyed by a critical hit, all while dodging a Rock Throw. Perfect. Now we can go for Headbutt, getting a critical ourselves and adding a flinch chance on top of the Parafusion. Unfortunately, he does snap out of confusion and doesn't flinch nor gets held down by paralysis, hitting a wing attack to KO the sub. So I flip with Protect and try using Substitute again, but it's able to KO them in one shot without a crit, so there's kinda no use for me to keep doing this, though I do try to go for it one more time in hopes that I get a rock throw, but the third time was not quite the charm. Either way, Headbutt is more than enough to get the job done here, but Stage 2 does not have any healing in between. So we're going in here with a barely alive Lilligant, hoping to the Lord above that we walk away from here without a full wipe. I go for Protect while Arven's Knackley handles the attacking, then we're going for Charm on turn 2 since Lilligant's not really long for this earth, getting KO'd on the follow-up, but buying enough time for Knackley to do nearly half damage. I'm throwing out Steenie next since we also have Charm on her as well, so we alternate Charm and Protect, getting him to -6 on the same turn as Knackley gets the KO with Smackdown to win the fight. I honestly expected to lose way more than one team member. Holy smokes, that was actually really good. I'm glad. I was gonna say it was absolutely terrible, but only losing one is a bit of a miracle against this. Thankfully, we won't have to worry again until we hit the Fire Team Star Boss in Mela. With Swimming obtained, it's a simple training and TM collecting session up to level 21, as we're ready to take on Giacomo and his Dark types. However, that guard at the gate was terrifying, as he had a Murkrow who barely misses the KO on Skiploom. This is why I literally avoid every single optional trainer in this game unless I need to go get a TM in a certain area, because they usually can do this to you. Alright, I think it's about time we go ahead and bust out Scovillain. There's a Firestone I have access to in Area 2 of the East Province, so we should be set with some strong moves like Flamethrower and Energy Ball. Speaking of which, I forgot to mention that Capsakid was EV trained in Special Attack and Speed to facilitate exactly those two moves, as these are some strong-ass moves that we should be taking advantage of, especially when growth is involved. With all that out of the way, Giacomo's not the toughest out there due to only having 2 Pokemon. His lead Pawniard is easily outed by Deerling in the quad-effective Double Kick, KOing in one shot, technically 2, but 1 use of Double Kick, as Revavroom enters next. I decided to go for Substitute here, but that was a dumb decision. Should've known that he was gonna outspeed and had just gone for 2 Double Kicks instead to get extra damage in. We barely make a dent as we swap out into Sunflora, managing to deal out 2 Energy Balls, all while taking a Wicked Torque and a Metal Sound. But since I'm expecting that Snarl follow-up due to the -2 special defense, I'm swapping here for Steenie. Charm here should be able to nullify that Wicked Torque as well, and assuming I don't stay in after being hit with a Metal Sound, I should be fine to just attack, then swap into anything with at least a good chunk of HP left. This ends up being the perfect way to handle it, as I flip-flop between Steenie and Skiploom a few times, with Skiploom hitting the red HP before grabbing the KO with Acrobatics to take the win. It's crazy how difficult these fights are with grass types. It honestly feels like there's a true challenge despite all of the broken move access I have. And that's really refreshing for a vanilla, Game Freak developed Pokemon game. The 6th badge is upon us in a battle against Iono, but another bit of preparation I wanted to do first was to find a tart apple in the Tag Tree Thicket to evolve my Applin into Flapple. I considered Appleton, but honestly I think Flapple's the better choice. Despite not having a single good physical Dragon-type move, seriously, how do you get Dragon Rush and Outrage, but not Dragon Claw? I have no clue. But Grav Apple and Wing Attack in combination with Dragon Dance seems pretty good, so I'm kind of okay with it. Especially when you consider other coverage moves like Pounce and Facade, being Bug and Normal respectively. With that completed though, we're interrupted right before our gym challenge with Iono for our 3rd battle against Nemona, but it's been a while so I'll let it slide. She's leading Rockruff, which is basically a death sentence against my team, as I'm given free reign to hit Charm 3 times with Steenie, then Razor Leaf it twice, all through a few rock throws and some missing thanks to Double Team. But I managed to get the KO nonetheless, leading to Palmy. Here I can basically do the same thing, just charming 3 times to lower the attack stat to the minimum possible, though this is made irritating because of Nuzzle getting the paralysis after the first turn of it all. I kind of just sit there and deal with it though, as Palmy's not really going to do anything in terms of damage. When the attacking moves are Nuzzle, the only stab move it has and is 20 power, Dig, and Bite, there's really no reason to, so I just wail on Charm until 3 are set up, then just use Razor Leaf until it goes down. Last out is Quaxwell, so we swap into Sunflora on the Terastallization, seeing Work Up get used, which is a lot better than the expected wing attack, as now we can just take a +1 wing attack for around 75% and KO on the crackback with an energy ball to win. Oh, well, what about Iono herself? Thankfully, the charm strategy works just as well, as her lead Wattrel knows exactly 3 physical moves and nothing else. However, I'm going to walk in here with the same amount of Pokemon as her to keep the challenge more interesting. 3 charms with my lead Steenie manages to do her attack stat in, though a critical hit does bypass all of those debuffs with Pluck and KO Steenie. Well, at least, hey, I got to do the thing I needed to do, so who cares? Serena was never gonna make it into a late game team anyway. I bring out Scoville on the follow-up, alternating Growth and Protect to stay at full HP through these Plucks, then just going to town on this team after 6 of them, KOing Wattrel, Luxio, Bellibolt, and Miss Magius following her Terastallization into the Electric type, all with Flamethrower to win the fight. I feel like that's the first time we've gotten a clean sweep to work so far this game. You'll have to see it. Following yet another loss, though, it's finally time for the dreaded Mela fight. I'm fully expecting to lose here, straight up, but we do have a few options that should help in mitigating this eventual disaster. Firstly, Area 1 of the East Province happens to host Skiddo, a physical attacker that gets good ground moves like Dig and Bulldoze, so we should have some super effective firepower here. Scoville, of course, having the fire type makes it neutral to other fire type attacks, so this will be my main Pokemon that I'll try to attack with and finish the game off. So that's nice. And we can also get Cacnea over in the Asado Desert, which will be Eevee trained as a special attacker. The Pokemon League houses Eevee, which we can evolve straight away into Leafeon with a Leaf Stone and make it a physical attacker as well. Last but not least, Shroomish is available in the South Province, specifically Area 5, also receiving the physical attacker treatment. This should be enough to both give me a team for specifically the Mela fight, while also reserving enough Pokemon for after the Mela fight. Also, despite talking up Skiddo, I don't think it's wise to bring in here simply because it doesn't do enough yet. Not being able to evolve into Go-Goat just yet means that we don't get access to Earthquake, and I feel like it's too integral to later fights to be willing to risk it. So I am going to be going in with this team of 6. Let's see what happens. I do have to constantly heal against the initial mission of KOing 30 of Team Star's Pokemon before we even get to the Mela fight, which was a little disheartening, especially because I do consider a faint here a death and I have to put it in the box. But I didn't have any of that happen, so I went into the fight with Mela feeling confident. I lead Deerling against Torkoal, outspeeding using Charm as she uses Flame Wheel, doing less than half despite Drought setting up Sunlight due to my held Aka Berry. Yeah, I know, finally using an item not named the Leftovers to cheese wins. Who would have thunk it? We're able to protect and hit another Charm on the follow-up, getting to turn 3 of the Sun and going to the very low red, just enough to set up the last Charm, get KO'd by Flame Wheel, but most importantly, clear up the Sun. The only other problem here is that Clear Smog is an attack. I should explain. See, it's Poison type, of course, so it's going to be super effective against all of my Pokemon, but it's also able to get rid of all stat buffs, which means we can't just cheese with one big swing after 12 turns of build-up. So it's time to start sacking some dudes. First up, Cacnea is the one who got the Dark Pulse TM exclusively to use it twice before dying, leaving me with 4 members on the team. Third up, Sunflower is coming out to set up a Light Screen to make Clear Smog do less damage, following up with a Hyper Beam to get the KO. That brings out Revavroom, who's able to outspeed and hit Screech on the recharge turn, then bypass my Aka Berry because of it with Blazing Torque to KO. Oh, this is really coming down to the wire. Revavroom is still at full HP while I'm down 3 party members. I bring out Leafeon next to take a Screech and set up a Charm, basically trading as the stat changes won't do anything on this board state, but once I swap out it will. Charm number 2 lands as he hits Blazing Torque for less than half thanks to the held Aka Berry, then the third hits as he uses another Screech. Perfect. Now we can swap out and preserve Leafeon for later, going into Scoville in order to absorb Blazing Torques for lunch, and hopefully drain all 5 power points of Overheat by the end of this, so that Swift can't do basically anything. I go for Protect, then take a Screech as I set up Growths, all while seeing Screeches. But it's not gonna do enough until... God damn it! That's the biggest critical hit that could have happened. That is the least good scenario that could have happened. I am boned, I'm f***ed, I am 6 ways from Sunday. Shit. And well, at least I can go into Dolive here to try to attract an overheat, then swap into Leafeon to take it, but that's not the case as he just goes for a Screech that misses. That's fine, I'm just gonna go for quick attacks to get some extra pot shots in here, but a critical overheat manages to destroy Leafeon pretty quick. We're down to just Dolliv against this Revavroom with only half HP, and my last resort is literally just going for growth once and hoping to God that Swift will do enough damage to take me home. The first does a minimum roll as an overheat burns through the Aqua Berry, just to get it out of the way as he's already burned through most of his special attack, all while I'm mashing for Swift. 2 more manages to pull her down to just a sliver, but Dolliv's at less than half HP and in a precarious position versus Blazing Torque. But the AI has a semblance, just a little bit of pity on me, and decides to go for Screech, throwing the match and allowing for Dolliv to deliver one final Swift for the KO to win me the fight. Thank you, God! We are going to need to rebuild after that last one, as that whole fight was an absolute clusterfuck, and I'm hoping it's the last of them, despite still having multiple battles with Pokemon that hit my type of choice for super effective damage. Why did they make Grass have so many weaknesses? Alright, with that craziness out of the way, it's time to go after the third Titan in Orthworm. This is a big ol' breeze, KOing the first phase with 2 of Breloom's Brick Breaks, then doing the same to the second as Arven's Toad School manages to do just a little bit of damage, and just enough to make up for the gap of Brick Break not being able to 2-shot. What can I say? Not every badge can be a nail biter. Our next badge also gets to be a cakewalk due to being the Water-type gym. We're good to evolve Toad School into Toad Scrool as our level cap is now 30, and we go in with this team here. We're pretty easily able to just Mega Drain our way through his lead Veluza with Toad Scrool, doing the same to Wug Trio in 2 shots as he brings out Crabominable last. He terastallizes as I go for Protect, and sadly, I don't think Toad School can handle this one as effectively. But since this normally ice fighting type doesn't have any ice moves, I'm clear to swap into Flapple, resisting everything and setting up some Dragon Dances in order to KO with 1 Bullet Seed to win the fight. Back-to-back easy badges, though I don't think we're making the 3-peat. We're back to types that we're weak to as Atticus and the Poison Team Star base is next, though I do believe we have enough ground type coverage to where it shouldn't matter. We'll have to see here after taking out 30 of their Pokemon though. So my strategy here is a little bit more interesting compared to most, and that's PowerPoint stalling. Her Skuntank has 5 Sucker Punch, 10 Toxic, and 10 Venoshock, while my Breloom has Poison Heal, so I can on turn 1 lead with Toad Scrool, then swap over to double my healing with the leftovers by just draining the power points and taking Venoshocks with Toad Scrool, then setting up 3 Swords Dances with Breloom by the end of it all. From here, it's a dig on Skuntank, Muck, Revavroom, and after being outsped by the second and hit with Noxious Torque, another single dig takes out the Navi Starmobile Revavroom to win the fight. Well, I thought that was going to be harder than it was, but it ended up being about as well as I could have hoped for. Halfway there with 9 badges, 9 more to go as we're on our way to Medali for the battle against Larry. Oddly enough, this is yet another easy one to solve, as all we need to do is give Jumpluff a Chesto Berry, set up 2 Swords Dances against the lead Kamala as he goes for Yawn and Slam in sequence, only doing half as I wake up from the yawn putting me to sleep with the aforementioned Chesto Berry, then 1-hit KOing Kamala, the Dunsparce, and after terastallizing into the normal type, Staraptor, all with 110 base power acrobatics. I guess that's the benefit of not using leftovers, you avoid annoying status, and you can sweep without a big ol' chunk of setup turns. We're not given an option to change up our team or our lead in between fights against Larry and our 4th rival battle against Nemona, but frankly, I don't think I need to. Jumpluff is perfectly fine as I can just swap into Toad Scrool, absorbing a Stone Edge, then setting up Reflect so that I can swap into Breloom. From here, it's an easy 3 Swords Dances, Protect, and Brick Break to take out our lead Lycanroc, leading to Goomy. They all fall like flies afterwards, as Brick Break takes out Goomy, Dig for Palmo, and Brick Break for Quaquaval, winning me the fight. Hope you enjoyed that pub stomping, Gita. Consider it a preview before the main event. With that done, one of the other Pokemon I wanted to go pick up was Tropius, so I headed over to Area 3 of the West Province to grab that. Though in all honesty, this guy is just Jumpluff at home. Speed stat is a meddling 51, attack stat is only a base 68, the only respectable thing here is a base 99 HP. I still maybe trained it as a physical attacker regardless, I just don't know what else to do with the thing. Another weird thing I had to do was some TM crafting, as I need another copy of Dark Pulse in preparation for the Ghost Chim, as we've now evolved Florgatito into Meowscarada. I needed to find Zorua, but they don't appear naturally on the overworld. Instead, you have to L-target the wild Pokemon to see if the name Zorua would pop up, then KO them for their materials. The only other annoying thing that I had to deal with here was needing to KO a Spiritomb for this, but the lowest level available is about 10 levels above mine. Thankfully, it's not terrible since the auto-battler doesn't allow for your Pokemon to be KO'd, so you can just keep throwing them at Spiritomb while healing in between so those materials can be obtained easily. From here, we're clear to challenge the Montanevera gym, but I make sure to hike up the Glaciato Mountain with some backwards long jumps to catch me a Snover. Grass Ice is a handy type to have for sure, but I really don't need it against Rhyme's ghost types. She leads with Bayonet and Mimikyu as I go with Arboliva and Meowscarada, hitting Dark Pulse on Bayonet for the one-shot KO as Energy Ball from Arboliva manages to KO the Mimikyu's disguise, which then allows for a follow-up Dark Pulse from Meowscarada to KO the newly entered Houndstone, and a second Energy Ball to wipe Mimikyu off of the map. All these attack boosts as well are helping to make my landslide victory even landslidier as Toxtricity enters, is Terastallized, and then dies immediately to Dark Pulse to win the fight. See, I knew there was a reason to train Meowscarada in special attack, it just wasn't for Nasty Plot, as you literally cannot get the TM until Area 0, and in which case you can't get it until after the AI Sada fight, due to needing Koraidon to climb somewhere which it cannot do during the first trip, due to being huddled inside of its ball. Biggest brain genius here, ladies and gentlemen. I only do the most high quality of plays here at House Meatball. Alright, quick detour over to Alfornada, as the level cap is the same for both the next two badges. I need to take out this rival fight now so we don't become overleveled. Nemona's still rocking that lead Lycanroc, so it's time to be a little bit cautious as Sand Attack is annoying, but it's not that bad once we take it out with Toedscruel using 3 Mega Drains, with the first connecting, the second missing, and the third critting to KO. Second out is Sliggoo, and I figured this is the easiest thing to set up against, so after screwing around for a few turns with Mudshot and Protect, I swap out into Jumpluff to take Dragon Pulse for around a quarter, then set up 3 Swords Dances. From here, it's a sweep with Aerial Ace on Sliggoo and Palmet, leaving just Quaquaval to fall to a Seed Bomb to win the fight. Perfect! Now we can head back to the Asado Desert for that great Tusk Titan. Speaking of which, kinda missing Brute Bonnet for this challenge. I won't even be able to get it in Area 0 before the AI Sada fight, and I don't think I can pick up Fungus now due to already having used all of the areas that it's appeared in for other encounters. Whoopsie. Alas, Great Tusk is made trivial thanks to Toedscruel and Mega Drain, as this thing does not have nearly enough special defense to keep up with my recovery, so I can kinda just sit there and blow through with Reflect holding back the extra damage. Round 2 is even worse with Scovillain providing backup with Scary Face to slow him down and Razor Leaf for any additional super effective damage, putting this nowhere near pocket-sized monster 6 feet under and giving Koraidon the gliding ability, which should be pretty helpful. Perfect, now we can head back to Alfornada, play the worst rhythm game I have ever seen in my entire life. Seriously, I would rather play Frets on Fire and use my F1 through F5 keys as the buttons than do this gym challenge, and that game sucks donkey doo-doo. But hey, at least it's not the core gameplay loop, as Tulip enters the fray and she's ready for a beatdown as she leads with Farigiraf. This is once again another lead that has entirely physical moves, so we can lead off with... Oh, it's a little bit different. We're gonna lead off with Go-Goat. Bet you didn't expect that one since we haven't busted him out yet. But we can lead Go-Goat and just alternate Protect and Bulk Up to raise our defenses, all while taking Zen Headbutts like a champ. We do get hit with a critical though, at around 3/4 HP that dips us down to around 20%, so I just continue to set up Bulk Up until we've got 6 of them, alternating Seed Bomb and Protect to KO Farigiraf, Gardevoir, Espathra after taking a Psychic for around a third, and Florges following the Terastallization to win the fight. Huh. Seems like the early game was the challenging part. The late game, now that I'm not getting pummeled into Oblivion by type matchups, has been a breeze. Well, I might be talking a little too soon, considering our next badge is held by the Ice Leader Grusha. Turns out we've got also a Bugsy situation on our hands, since last time I played through this generation with the Paradox challenges, I thought Grusha was a female, but turns out he's male. At least now I know. Following the slope challenge though, Grusha leads off with Frostmoth as I go with Jumpluff, going straight for Acrobatics to KO thanks to that bug typing making it super effective. Second out is Beartic, so I use Protect, then swap into Abomasnow to take an Icicle Crash for a little under their third, getting some recovery thanks to Leftovers twice with Protect, doing the same twice more as I set up 2 Swords Dances. This is plenty enough to get Abomasnow back up to around a third and give it plenty of attack power necessary for the non-stab Brick Break to KO Beartic, Satitan, and after the Ice Terastallization, Altaria, all with 1 each to win the fight and our last gym badge, but not necessarily our last badge. We still have 3 more of those to go. Our 4th team starbase is against Ortega and his fairy types, so I'm going to make sure to beat them down hard for blocking me from this easily accessible copy of Energy Ball that's been laying up in this tower for the whole game. Why did I have to craft them before? He leads Azumarill as I go with Jumpluff, using Charm to lower her attack while she goes for Bounce, and using Protect to ensure that she can never hit a super effective attack. After 3 of these, we're clear to swap into Breloom, taking a Play Rough for minimal damage, but then I swap into Go-Goat and back into Breloom due to Charm. I'm afraid that she's just going to start tangling with me when it comes to trading Swords Dance and Charm, but it never ends up happening as the second time I bring Breloom in, we're able to set up the 3 Swords Dances needed to sweep, KOing Azumarill and Wigglytuff with 1 Seed Bomb each, leading to Dash Bund. Now this little guy is able to outspeed Breloom and land a really nasty Play Rough that brings Breloom down to red HP, being KO'd just as well by a Seed Bomb thankfully on the Crackback, but this is really nasty going into Revavroom. It is, again, a really fast Pokemon, so I've got to swap into Arboliva and start going for some stall tactics with the healing from grassy terrain once it gets hit. Though this does give Revavroom the opportunity to start going for Steel Roller to just keep getting rid of it over and over again. We're able to fire off a few Energy Balls during this process, but not nearly enough to KO. Though Arboliva gets very close to getting KO'd, it was a little scary. But we do manage to take him down to around a third as we bring in Jumpluff, who gets confused off of Magical Torque. Alright, well then we can go for Meowscarada and take a Steel Roller, but it does way too much damage and I don't trust that Magical Torque won't just KO out of nowhere because it's super effective. I ultimately decide on bringing Abomasnow in to finish the job, managing to hit 2 Wood Hammers through a Confuse Ray to KO and win the fight. To be honest, I didn't expect that Dash Bund was going to be able to outspeed Breloom there. Kind of expected to go into full HP with Revavroom, but it really didn't change much by the end here. One more Team Star group to go as Aerie and the Fighting Dojo are ready to go to war, but we've got plenty of Pokemon to deal with them. Oddly enough though, her lead is the thing that gives us the most trouble in Toxicroak, because it is part Poison type. However, I can just use Breloom and Zen Headbutt to KO with the quad effective attack, following up with Annihilate by using Zen Headbutt, then taking a Close Combat which lowers the attack enough for me to not have to commit to the 90% accurate Zen Headbutt on the next turn, and instead go for Seed Bomb to get the KO, though it does take Breloom out of commission for the rest of the fight. Third out is Passimian, which does go a little poorly at first considering Close Combat does a ton of damage to Toedscruel and Switch In, but we are able to drain 2 power points here off of Breloom's Protect, and swapping into Toedscruel. From here we can just alternate between Go-Goat and Tropius to attract Close Combat, resist, then bait Rock Tomb with Tropius' flying typing, swapping into Go-Goat to endure it with pretty easy defense. Once all power points of Close Combat are gone, we're in the clear to just sit through the Rock Tombs with Go-Goat and set up 6 Bulk Ups, though I do decide to alternate a bit more than 6 times just to stall for extra HP. This proves to be a wise decision, as after KOing Passimian with Seed Bomb, Lucario comes in and hits a pretty rough Aura Sphere for just under half, going down to Aerial Ace as our last Pokemon in Revavroom enters. From here, it's a simple Aerial Ace followed up by a Protect for more HP, and 1 more attack in Earthquake to finish this creature off, ending Team Star as a unit, but not quite their leader, so we'll take care of her shortly. One last Titan to take care of, and it's Dondozo and Tatsugiri. Of course, being Water and Water Dragon respectively makes these rather trivial with Go-Go, using a Leaf Blade critical to nearly KO the first stage in 1 shot, with a follow-up taking him out. Second round goes even easier thanks to Arven's Greedent, using Takedown to help soften him up for 2 Leaf Blades to be enough. Third stage with Tatsugiri is helped once again by Greedent using Tail Whip, so while it goes down, I'm able to pull down the Tatsugiri once again with Leaf Blade, KOing and giving us the 5th and final movement upgrade. Now for a weird turn. Usually the level caps go 61 for Director Clavel as well as the Elite Four, and 63 for Arven and Penny, but we're gonna go ahead and take care of Arven, Clavel, and Penny all before the league for an added challenge. First up, Arven's leading with his Greedent while I'm going with Arboliva. See, I've got a neat idea called Safeguard. Arboliva is the only Pokemon I have access to that's able to learn this move due to it not being a TM in Scarlet and Violet, so I'm able to use 3 charms to lower Greedent's attack, then use Safeguard to ensure that while I'm setting up with Jumpluff that it can't be physically paralyzed by that stupid Body Slam. From there, I can Seed Bomb Greedent, Aerial Ace Scovillain, Seed Bomb Garganacil, Aerial Ace Toedscruel, and Seed Bomb Cloyster, all for one-shots as Mabostiff comes in last. Now the sad thing here is that Mabostiff's got Intimidate, which brings me down to +5, and therefore means that Seed Bomb can no longer get the one-shot. Though it's no concern to me as Fire Fang only does half to Jumpluff, so even a critical couldn't get the job done as an Aerial Ace steals the deal to win the fight. 1 down, 2 to go in this area as we've headed back to Mesagoza to go ahead and take care of Clavel, though we do need to do one thing beforehand. I forgot completely to get bottle caps for my remaining Pokemon once they hit level 50, so that I can max out all of their relevant IVs, not to mention grind out the optimal nature mints for everyone. We're gonna need every advantage possible for the endgame, so there's no shame in using all this stuff. With the preparations complete, it's time for Clavel. First up, Oranguru is a problem in and of itself thanks to Yawn being able to put everyone to sleep. Not to mention, Foul Play means the attack goes based on my attack stat rather than Oranguru's, so there's no way for me to get around this while setting up Sword Stance on my target of choice, Breloom. However, we can get rid of this problem with Safeguard and Encore, locking him into Yawn while Safeguard is up to waste time, while also using it to drain Foul Play as we have 8 power points thanks to power point ups. This Stallfest takes quite a long time, but once Yawn and therefore by proxy Dream Eater and Foul Play are both out of their 10 and 15 points respectively, we're clear to swap out into Breloom, set up our 3 Sword Stances, then go for Brick Break on Oranguru, Brick Break on Abomasnow, Dig on Polteageist, Zen Headbutt on Moongus, Zen Headbutt on Gyarados, and finally, after Skeledirge Terastallizes, we can go for Dig and get the super effective KO for the clean sweep. Now, there was one thing I realized I should have done instead, and that's instead of go for Zen Headbutt, open the slot up for Aerial Ace as it takes care of a Moongus just as efficiently and doesn't have the accuracy problem. But I also could have used Baton Pass with Jumpluff and Sword Stance so that I could have opened the 4th and final move slot of Breloom's for Thunder Punch so that I could take care of Gyarados. But hindsight is 20/20. Straight after, it's time for the battle with Penny, and she's leading with Umbreon as I once again go Arboliva, purely because I want to get rid of the power points for Psychic so that we can once again sweep with Breloom. Sadly though, she's going for Dark Pulse to lead off, and I've got to make my way through that first. This is accomplished easily enough, though Baby Doll Eyes does sometimes make Encore less consistent due to it having priority as well as Quick Attack, but it's kinda just a war of attrition as that takes a while. However, when she just starts going for Quick Attack more than Psychic, that gets frustrating, so as soon as I lock her into Quick Attack, I just say screw it, go into Breloom and get to +4 before it ends with a KO with Brick Break. From here, it's Dig for Flareon, Seed Bomb for Vaporeon, and Brick Break for Leafeon as Jolteon comes in 5th. Now, unsurprisingly, she's outspeeding with Jolteon, but the sheer chances of the 70% chance of Thunder landing, followed by the 30% chance of the paralysis as well, makes it feel extremely bad. The best thing I can do now, though, is just swap into Toedscruel for the Ground-type immunity, set up Reflect to ensure Pin Missile doesn't do much damage to my Grass-types, then swap back into Arboliva and set up Safeguard to ensure Thunder doesn't paralyze anything else. I'm able to Encore her into Thunder once, and once we drain all 10 of those power points, we should be secure to go into Jumpluff to finish this. So once I see that she's done with that after an Encore fails after the last power point of Thunder is used, we're clear to swap into Drumpluff, setting up Sword Stance to outspeed the Baby Doll Eyes, using a whopping 6 of them to get to +6 and firing off Seed Bomb to KO Jolteon, followed by another to KO Sylveon after the Terastallization to win the fight. Sorry, bucko, even that really good Jolteon luck wasn't going to be enough to get you through the utter cheese I had planned. Alright then, 7 more battles with the E4, Champ, Nemona, and Sada, and then we're clear. So let's go ahead and jump into that league with Arboliva, Breloom, Meowscarada, Go-Goat, Toedscruel, and Abomasnow. These 6 should be able to do well enough as the Flying and Dragon subtypings, particularly with Tropius, Jumpluff, and Flapple, are not really as helpful as I expected them to be. First up, after taking out her initial examination, Rika is ready with Whiscash as I lead Arboliva, and just to make it clear, the reason I pronounce it Rika is because there's a Yu-Gi-Oh archetype called Rika. And that is literally the only reason. Anyway, I'm going to beat up this Whiscash for fun as I'm leading Arboliva, and I'm really beating the Encore horse into the ground now that I'm realizing that I can, using it to eliminate Blizzard from being a pain for the remainder of my team. After using Light Screen, it barely does any damage whatsoever to Arboliva, nor do Earth Power or Muddy Water, so I'm a happy camper. After this long war of attrition that must have gone on for nearly 10 minutes of real time, we've gotten Whiscash down to using Struggle, and Go-Goat's ready to set up 4 bulk ups while Whiscash's recoil knocks itself out. Camerup's out second and goes down immediately to Earthquake, followed by Donphan third, who goes down to Bullet Seed. See, I'm using Bullet Seed because Donphan has the ability Sturdy, and I just was not going to deal with that today. Especially when the potential of Poison Jab getting a critical hit could ruin this run. Fourth out is Dugtrio, falling to the same Bullet Seed, leaving just Clodsire to Terrastallize into the ground type, being KO'd by a 2-hit Bullet Seed to win me the fight. One down, next up is Poppy and her Steel types, and thankfully this is easily handled by just swapping Safeguard for Charm on Arboliva's moveset. But once again, the secret sauce is in Encore, locking her into Stealth Rock and forcing a useless move so that we can get those 3 charms up, swap into Go-Goat, and get a few free bulk ups against her. Sadly, she does manage to get a critical with Heavy Slam though, bringing Go-Goat down into the red while I'm setting up. I can't really afford to KO this thing until I'm back to around 75% 80 HP, around there, so I keep flip-flopping between Bulk Up and Protect past the point where it does anything stats-wise, and this does end up helping out immensely with Go-Goat's HP. We drain the power points of Heavy Slam during this time, seeing High Horsepower instead, which is literally doing 2 damage because of the -6 attack and +6 defense, allowing for Go-Goat to get back over 200 HP, KOing with Earthquake once it's all said and done. Second out is Corviknight, and Brick Break even at +6 is still not enough to KO, though Brave Bird Recoil does fill in the gaps, while Go-Goat only takes a moderate amount of damage from it. Third out is Magnezone, setting up Light Screen and surviving on Sturdy from Brick Break, but not really doing anything substantial before going down. Fourth is Bronzong, who has Levitate, so I gotta blast it with Brick Break, KOing, and leaving just Tinkaton to Terrastallize and fall to Earthquake to win the fight. We're halfway there as Larry enters the room, and this battle is basically done the same way as the last two. Arboliva is able to lead here and set up Light Screen, all while Tropius has Air Slash since we can protect against them, allowing for the sun to run out so that Chlorophyll no longer boosts his speed, then Encore him into Air Slash so that we can drain all of those power points. We do the same to Dragon Pulse because that is also a neutral attack, and then clears the way for our sweeper of choice, this time being Breloom, as the only other attack he has is Solar Beam, allowing for me to set up 3 sword stances, alternating with Protect and surviving even through a critical Solar Beam, taking out Tropius with Aerial Ace, Staraptor with Thunder Punch, Oricorio with Thunder Punch, Altaria with Thunder Punch, leaving just Flamigo to Terrastallize as I use Protect for more HP, and, you guessed it, Thunder Punch to win the fight. All that's left is Hassel, and he's actually the whole hassle of this Elite Four. Very funny, since I can't really do the Arboliva setup against, purely because his lead Noivern has Super Fang, which always does half damage, and I have no defense against that. Instead, I can start with Abomasnow, using Sword Stance as he uses Super Fang for half, then Protect to get some more leftovers recovery before he starts going for Air Slash, doing the same to get to +4, then using Ice Shard to get that quad super effective KO on Noivern, and then doing the same on Dragalge and Haxorus as he leads into Flapple. This is the only Pokemon that I can't really be hit by for too much damage, so I get the last Sword Stance off, finishing off Flapple with an Ice Shard. This leaves just Baxcalibur to Terrastallize and go down immediately to a +6 Ice Shard to win the match. Having to rely on the 80% chance of not flinching from Dragon Rush kinda blew, but this was the only way I could find in my calculations to come out of this fight unscathed, and I'd much rather take the path of least resistance on this one. All that's left is Geeta though, and frankly her team is not conducive to setting up against anything, especially with her lead Espathra and Illumina Crash. However, we do the whole classic plan our switches, baits and AI predictions to ensure we come out on top, and I think I'm going to be able to do this pretty easily. First out is the aforementioned Espathra, so I lead with Meowscarada in order to blast this thing in the face with Dark Pulse to KO. I do the same for Go-Goat, which comes out second, doing a little under half as she hits Play Rough to nearly KO my Meowscarada, but the keyword there is nearly, as it doesn't, letting me swap into Arboliva to take a Play Rough. My goal here is to use 3 charms while she can set up Bulk Up and can't really outpace my stat decreases. This allows us to bring her down to -6 and lets Abomasnow come in and make it a pretty easy matchup, as 3 Sword Stances is able to be enough for the sweep. 2 Ice Shards makes it through Go-Goat's +6 defense, leading to King Gambit, who I outsped and destroyed with a quad-effective Brick Break. Halfway through the team, as Avalugg comes out 4th, and sure, Brick Break just barely doesn't KO even with +6 attack, but Body Press doesn't KO either, so I'm in the clear to just alternate Protect and KO with another Brick Break on the next turn. 5th out is Veluza, and we don't have a single attack that is better than not very effective here, so I just resort to the 2-shot KO that is Brick Break, and this of course gives her the opening to get a critical Psycho Cut to bring Abomasnow into the red. But that's perfectly fine, as a second Brick Break eliminates the threat of Veluza, leaving just Glimmora to get outsped after terastallizing into the Rock type, and get immediately shattered into a billion tiny little pieces with Brick Break to win me the fight. Huh. I really didn't expect a deathless Pokemon League after the nightmares of, Brastius, Bombardier, Mela. Like, I will certainly take it after all of that. With the championship title claimed, though, we're good to take out the last 2 fights of the game. Nemona's final story-relevant battle is right here in Mesagoza, and unfortunately gets kinda squashed due to purely her lead. Please, take Lycanroc out of the lead. Lycanroc makes things so easy thanks to her moveset being Accelerock, Drill Run, Stone Edge, and Stealth Rock. This is terrible. So, by simply using Arboliva to set up 3 charms, then Encore to lock her into Stone Edge to finish off those power points, that's more than enough for me to bring in Breloom, set up 3 Sword Stances, and KO with Lycanroc with Seed Bomb, Goodra with Brick Break, Palmet with Brick Break, Dunsparce with Brick Break, and finally the Terastallized Quavavel chain with Seed Bomb to finish the fight in short order. If you know, you know. Perfect. Now to find the way home. Then again, Area 0 feels pretty far from home. I'd even go as to say that there's no way home after taking Koraidon down to the lower levels. Alright, sorry, I'll lay off the Spider-Man puns, but I won't lay off walking into a random shiny Glimmora. I only have 3 heal balls on me. May as well see if I can capture this bastard, and somehow I did. Unfortunately, Shiny Claws does not apply to non-grass types in the run, otherwise that would be a little bit broken. Though it is a pretty dope shiny. I really like the light kind of teal color over the coloration of the normal dark blue. That aside, we're clear to go for AI Sada and take on her team of Paradox Pokemon, even if we're short of Brute Bonnet, as our Grassy gang is unfortunately not able to be joined by it. Even though I did try, and I had it at the perfect HP. Game just wouldn't let me. I was very peeved. Anyway, Sada's leading off with Slitherwing, a bug-fighting Volcarona, as I go with Arboliva, and we're just going for Charm, we're just doing Encore shenanigans, we're just being an asshole, and honestly, I love doing this. Arboliva is the most annoying stall Pokemon in this generation, and I'm glad I'm using it for the best purpose. After encoring her into Leech Life, I can bring in Jumpluff, who takes neutral damage from it thanks to the flying type, using 3 Sword Stances, then using Aerial Ace on Slitherwing, Seed Bomb on Screamtail, Seed Bomb on Fluttermane, Seed Bomb on Sandy Shocks, Aerial Ace on Brute Bonnet following a Sucker Punch, and finally landing an Aerial Ace on Roaring Moon to Booster Energy, I'm guessing, had something to do with this, but Roaring Moon's not gonna let this run end without a fight, as it's able to knock off Jumpluff after Aerial Ace barely misses the KO, with a critical Stone Edge, no less. Alright, rubbing salt into the wound. All good though, as I just have to bring in Meowscarada, which manages to outspeed Roaring Moon, ending the run with the Pokemon we started with by firing off Aura Sphere to super effectively KO and win the fight to end the run. We're not observing the Koraidon mirror match. I don't care how much he wants to break my rules. He'll sit in digital damnation for as long as I please, simply because he decided to break my terastallization rule. Alright, jokes aside, I'm glad to have finally finished this run. This one took a full week of my time just solving the problems that stood in my way and ensuring I sacked the right Pokemon at the right time, just so that I wouldn't have to start over. Sure, I didn't get the chance to use Lurantis, Amoonguss, or Brute Bonnet, but I do think that we had plenty of gas in the tank seeing as Flapple, Tropius, and Toedscruel were all sitting in the box during that fight against Sada. With all that said though, thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to click on one of these other challenges on screen, you'll probably enjoy them just as much. And if you really enjoyed the video and want to help support the creation of more content, the Patreon page is in the description as always. Stay safe, stay healthy, and I'll see you next time.